Welcome all. It is 6:03 on March 8th, and we are hoping to begin our meeting. We can call it to order. We have a quorum, and I see that there's only a few things on our agenda. We need to approve meeting minutes from February 8th, 2022. They were distributed. I hope everybody has had a chance to check it out. Were there any required additions, alterations to the minutes from the people that are currently in our meeting?
Not really, not here.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, and if there was nothing to add, I would ask that we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, that part is out of the way. I can't see that Jeff has been able to get on board with us. Is there a way to have him call in? Where's our moderator?
He can dial in with the same instructions that were sent out. Instead of using a computer, he can call him by phone.
Okay. Yeah, there shouldn't be much difficulty in that. I'll try to give him a call back and tell him to hook in that way.
Yes, Helen.
I
can't get in.
Yeah, can you use the phone access that was sent out with your computer instructions?
It's giving me, the meeting number, but it's not giving me a link to click on.
On your phone?
Yep.
Now you have to dial the number and then enter the meeting ID once you connect.
Did you hear that? That's from Mike.
All right, give me a minute.
Okay, we'll hold on a few minutes until you take care of this technical. Yeah. So he's trying to dial in. I hope everybody will be patient until then. Do we know which barn this is? Mike?
Can we share the drawing? We'll pull the image up on the screen.
Could you do that, Mike?
Let me see. I'm on my tablet and I've never done it before, so
Okay.
give me a moment. Hopefully I can do that.
We'll take care of all these technical issues now. Jeff is trying to join us. Looks like my background's getting to be like yours, Jennifer. Not quite as developed.
Now, here's a good question. How do I share my screen?
The technical assistant, I guess I never learned her name. I'm sorry.
There's at the bottom, there's a menu and it says
Wait a minute.
screen share. Do you see that box?
Yeah, I just clicked it. See if that works.
Yep.
I think you have to press the commit button. Everything on your screen, including notifications, be recorded. Mike, you still there? Okay. That didn't work very well. Mike, are you with us still? Ah, looks like we have Jeff.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Fortunately, you can't see the documentation, can you?
No, I can't see anything.
There's a number of links for Facebook and YouTube that would get you onto a visual participation. You can view the meeting with the following formats with a slight delay. Jeff, do you see that?
I'd have to go back to my email, Steve.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Because I think it would be important for you to see if there's any documents that we need to review. Luba, do you have that access as well?
Well, I can see you, so whatever pops up on the screen.
I feel sorry for you then.
No, you're looking great.
Oh, yes.
What's your secret?
What's my
Okay, Steve, I do see the Facebook link.
Okay. If you just click on that, or YouTube, or the website, you can see the meeting.
I clicked on Facebook link, but it took me to the township page.
Is there a support person still on?
The best place to view this meeting would be on the township's YouTube page or Facebook page.
Okay. He says he has the Facebook link open and it's on the page, the township page. Jeff.
All right, now I'm on the YouTube page.
Okay. Can he hear you through this phone connection? I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
I'm Erica, but yes, Jeff, you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Great. Yep.
So you can direct him then.
Yep. Jeff, so are you on the YouTube?
Yes.
Great. And can you see the meeting from there?
I could see Steve. Yes.
Okay, great.
Good.
Yep.
Fine. So then if you could bring in our representative for the barn project.
I can.
You're
Erica?
joining us now.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. Gentlemen, I'm Stephen Hines. I'm the chair. If you would be kind enough to introduce yourself and state your connection, and then you can begin your presentation, please.
Eric? You want me to start, Joel?
Sure.
Okay, I'm Drew Dickinson. This is Eric Marseglia. We are part of Milestone Behavioral Health. We are currently under contract with Mr. Miller to purchase 1648 Yardley Langhorne. And one of our first goals is to try to get that barn to be just usable office space. I think that's the primary objective is today is to kind of give you guys our idea or for that and kind of get it's kind of new to us, so we're not sure what we need to do on that front in terms of insight from you guys. We'd love to hear what the process looks like for that, for the barn, and seeing how that'll work through that.
And then this is our architect, Joel Petty. He's also on the meeting, so he can walk you through things a little bit more than we can with the pictures and stuff.
Hey, Eric, I didn't hear your compatriot there, his name?
I'm sorry, I'm Eric Marseglia.
Oh. And
My name's Drew. I'm Drew Dickinson.
Oh, Drew Dickinson.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Joel Petty, welcome to you too.
Thank you.
Can you give your presentation?
I think as they said, this is an early phase meeting and more than likely we'll be back as the project develops. But as they're in this due diligence phase of purchasing the property, we did want to just come about them turning that building into usable office space, as well as, their desire to keep it as much aesthetically in place as it can be. A lot of the interior will be modified but preserved as well. Their goal is really to keep it feeling as much like a barn as possible, as well as, basically utilizing it as eventual office space for them. Personally, I think that's the idea, is that those guys will be over there, and the house will be used as a different piece. But the goal is really to repair and replace, repair as much as possible, replace windows with insulated glass windows, but ideally still do them as wood true divided light windows. The front windows would be replaced size and aesthetically like they are. They have a goal of adding a window to the rear elevation to match the one on the front. But basically the exterior of the building would look very much the same, barring the two front garage openings. So the talk there was, as they move forward, whether that becomes a more centralized glass covered with barn door kind of looking opening, but the piece to be developed is really more that front door opening. The first floor large opening would become the main entrance to the barn. So whether that becomes a glass office piece entry or some version of entry door system that then could also have whether it's sliding barn doors run over it, or whether that's more a desire just to see it infilled with something else, that's more, direction if there's any input that you would get, or we will just, move forward presenting an option in the future. But really that's the goal, is that the building aesthetic is going to look very much the same as it does, just preserved, and that as it gets modified, the major piece on the front would be developing it into a office entry area. That's the goal.
Hey, Joel,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just thinking, do you see any issues with entering to the building, like ADA compliance? I don't know if the barn has a floor. Do you have to pour a floor?
Yes, so we would need to pour not only that, but a pad out front that would allow that access. And whether that's going to be some sort of, whether it's bluestone or some other patio material out front, or whether that would just be a concrete pad. But now it is a dirt floor as it sits. So yes, it will be getting a concrete slab inside as a part of the project.
But probably don't need to do a ramp, because you're not going to be going up that much. You could probably handle it with a little slope situation.
It looks that way at the moment, yes, because there's enough grade out front, even with the driveway coming up to it, that without much grade modification at all, it looks like ADA compliance would be easier than most situations. But yes, it would be able to do it without a ramp.
That'd be great aesthetically.
Yes, agreed.
Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if you had any kind of documentation that you sent to the township. We were trying to get that up, but it looks like Mike has not been able to do that. Do you have, did you send in anything already as a preliminary sketch?
Yes. Do you have ability for me to share a screen? Or?
I personally can't. It would have to come from the township building, I believe.
Okay.
What
But
about?
yes, we did send in a packet which had not only photos kind of describing what we're looking to do, but also just a quick front elevation of some materials we would want to utilize, some of the things that we would be addressing, but minus the kind of front entry area. That's the thing I think is on the table. But
I think we would need those visuals. Erica, is there any way that you can help Mike out and get his?
Does he need help sharing the screen?
Yes, Mike Kirk needs help sharing the screen.
Yep, there should be a bottom, at the bottom of your screen, there's a green arrow that says share screen.
In that extent, Joel, you might be able to do it.
right, I don't. We can.
I'm gonna try.
Let me see if I can.
For some reason, when I go to share it, it's only giving me a white screen and then it freezes up. It's not letting me share anything.
Can I try to share my screen? I think I have it up. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
you can do that. Yeah.
Let me try.
This was also sent with the agenda through the email too. So these same pictures were in your email I sent previously as well.
Can you guys see that?
Perfectly, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
the reason is, excuse me for just a second, I wanted to make it clear that the reason for presenting these as part of this meeting is that this is being recorded, and anybody who's participating in this from the public would be able to see this, whereas they wouldn't have our access to documents that were sent out with the agenda. So
Sure.
Please excuse the insistence, but you're doing a great job. Thank you.
No problem. So maybe, yeah, this is the front of the building, and these are the two openings that Joel was speaking of.
That's what we weren't sure of. The best way to kind of close that in to make it look the best. We're really open to any kind of suggestions that you guys might have on that front, because it, as it sits, it's just obviously wide open. Joel seems to think that we can shift the inside, so structurally we have the ability to kind of have that beam fall anywhere. So we're not sure how it may have looked at some point in the past. Mr. Miller might have some insight there, but that's certainly one of the things that we were totally open to hearing some guidance on.
Could you flip through all the photographs first?
Sure. That's a closer view. So this is what you see from Yardley Langhorne Road. If you looked into the property, that is what you would see. And then this is the back of the building. So this faces Patterson Farm. There's some trees, I think.
Yeah, there's
there's a tree line between the barn and Patterson Farm.
The hope would be to add a window back there.
So this is where Joel was talking about hopefully just adding a window on the second floor, kind of like this one up here, similar to that, just in the back of the building, facing the farm. This is one of the sides. That's the side facing the house, right?
Yes.
That's the side actually facing the house on the property. And then this is the other side. So this is facing the empty open lot of trees between Mr. Miller's property, and then eventually it would reach where the skateboard shop is. It's on that side of the property. And then Joel's, this is a drawing that Joel did, I guess, a sketch.
Yeah, this is just talking about some of the things we would approach, but that opening, the larger opening on the left is the one right now that's open, the garage door on the right. The goal is to close that in either way, but we have options with these openings, whether we continue with the asymmetry of this is one option, which I don't really mind. But we can work within that to keep that asymmetry of the existing structure visible, or the opening in the center is large enough that we can certainly get access to the main part of the barn for the commercial entry part of it down below, and make that more symmetrical if that was more of a desire to, move in a direction. But I think there are options that we will have of this front entry and maybe worth exploring a couple. But right now, that's the rest of the barn, like we talked about, is mostly to stay as is, barring the roof. So we have to insulate that roof system. Mark, Eric, and Drew would like to keep that existing structure of the roof inside exposed. So the first thought is to, insulate this with a roof built up on the outside, which, as you can see on the picture of the front of the building, the existing rake boards on the front are very small. Building up an insulated roof there would allow us just to get an eave detail on the front of that. But I think in scale and proportion with what the building would be. But that would really be the one place where when it gets a new roof and gets an insulated roof, that front eave rake board would get beefier, as it's kind of shown here. But that really, beyond that, the building would really, I think a goal would be to make it look as much like it does as possible.
Hey, Joe, what's the building telling you about the original framing for the openings on that facade? I'm assuming it's heavy timber and you can see everything when you're inside, right?
So as you look at the garage door on the right, that's actually looks like what was a carriage / tractor bay. There's a row of columns that goes in between these two doors. So there's actually a wall inside the building, timber frame wall that goes right between those garage doors front to back. And that's going to be a bay of the barn that actually gets utilized for what looks like now. It's kind of ideally set up for the bathroom area, that kind of scenario on the first floor. But the main area to the left is open from the middle of those two doors to the left side of the building. So that larger main opening basically accesses a larger open area. The bay to the right where that garage door is set up as a bay. There's a structural beam timber frame wall through that area.
To clarify,
is there a loft there right now?
There's a usable second floor. Yeah, it's bigger than a loft. So that whole second floor is pretty usable, the whole width of the building.
okay, that for clarity, even though we have seen the images, the photographic images, it's not absolutely clear what is in that opening on the left. Is it absolutely clear opening? There's no closure on it? Or is there something in back of that front wall that closes off the interior space?
No, at the moment it's open. It's
a little closet
basically an open garage bay at the moment, right? It's just stored, but no, there's no big barn door or anything on it at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
There's no doors there. You can walk right in. There's nothing stopping anybody from walking in and out right now. It's just open.
Thank you. Oh, that's clear. Other questions, members?
Well, if this gets developed as an office, wouldn't it probably need also another exit to the outside rather than just the one in the front?
Yes, potentially. And that's where we're either going to get that from the side or the rear, more than likely. And that was one of the other questions as far as the rear of the building and adding things to it or accessing that as the least visible side, or is that desirable toward one of the other sides? But more than likely, yes, whether it would need to be through the rear or to the side facing away from the house, more than likely.
Right. Well, it would be wonderful when you present some sketches with whatever ideas you have for that design.
And those are the things that will definitely come up as the building progresses into, what the design of it would be. But some of this was for, again, general feedback, whether you had any input on some of the openings that do exist and whether they, stay as they are if there was the desire to do that, or whether closing some of those in is acceptable.
Yeah, and also the access drive to it, a parking area. All of those items will be useful to see in a sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this going to have any kind of chimney or just the regular vents that you need for plumbing issues?
Regular, I would think at the moment. Do you guys have any desire to do anything else with the space? Yeah.
I don't think there'll be a chimney or anything.
Okay.
So heating and cooling you were talking about would be heat pump or something electrical?
More than likely electrical, yes.
Jeff Herco, you have any questions, input? You still with us, Jeff? Erica, do you know if he's still on board?
I don't see Jeff with us in the room here.
Okay. Well, maybe there's some kind of muting that he has to undo. If you can maybe work that out.
I see him trying to join the meeting online. Let me see if he comes in.
Okay. While you're talking about future adaptations that you'd like to do, I would suggest that you might want to kind of look at some alternative studies on other types of projects that have been done either locally or in Bucks County to adapt this kind of structure. The idea of having a stair that was an egress stair that might take place in the space you might also consider having it take place in an addition to the space, and that kind of addition can take two methods. Perhaps you want to consider it like the idea of something that's compatible. Typical thing that would happen in a barn is a shed type of addition, and if that kind of thing could take place in that type of enclosure, or something that is completely modern. There have been alternative ways of dealing with that, some kind of enclosure that is a structure, steel or otherwise, that is completely glassed in and could then house a stairwell. Those kind of things are decisions that the architect normally makes, and it would have some kind of justification. And when you come back to present them, you would bring along your documentation and maybe similar types of installations that you can use as examples. Just, to kind of set the goals out to you that these decisions we don't want to dictate, and we'd certainly love to see your creativity, but there's places to go to find similarities, and then there's places to go to find justifications for doing what you're doing. One of them is the guidelines for alterations under the national guidelines.
Okay.
Have we got a hold of Jeff yet? Jeff?
Not
Can you
yet.
hear
It
us?
looks like he's having trouble rejoining the Zoom meeting.
Is there a way that he can call in as a typical public participant that when it
Yeah,
would
that
come
would be
to
the same
public?
way he called in before.
I see. I hope he hears us and maybe makes that takes that advantage of that situation.
A real primitive thing to do, Steve, I've had people literally call my cell, put it on speaker, and then put the phone by the laptop. You could have them just call you.
Jeff, if you hear that,
No, what?
you can take that suggestion. Thank you, Jennifer.
Mhm.
What'd you say?
Jeff, are you still following us? If not, I'll I'll try and give him a call on the phone line here.
Yes.
Hi. Have you been able to follow any of this?
Yeah, I'm watching the whole thing. I'm trying to get in. I thought I was connected, and then I went to talk, and there's nothing there.
Okay, well, you're on speaker here next to my pickup, so if you'd like to address the meeting with your input, please do at this point.
No, I was just trying to figure out ways that they could possibly close the front of that building in, like they're looking to do, and still keep it aesthetically in character with the building. Right now, I don't have anything that I could suggest for that. And I missed it in the very beginning. What's the building being used for?
Office space.
Okay.
All right. One of the things that I've seen done before is to take that kind of opening and just step back a space that would also act as kind of a rain covered area, a portal that doesn't really have any connection with the facade. So it would be complete inset of 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever it would take that you think might be appropriate. And certainly it's the kind of thing you would lose interior space from, but maybe it would help in terms of maintaining what the current appearance is.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the major questions is maintaining the character of this part of it, because I think the asymmetry is somewhat interesting, but it would be, there's a couple ways to develop that, and we may look at a couple options within that.
Yeah, we'll definitely maybe come up with a couple different scenarios there.
Well,
like you were
if
saying,
you did some kind of inset, excuse me, if you did some kind of inset, you could do it out of heavy timber construction, heavy 4x4s or etc., and do an entire framing kind of thing, and then have a modern door as part of the opening that's in the center, and you'd probably see very little of the structure except maybe 2 or 3 posts in that space.
Mm-hmm.
What if it was all glass? So the void was reading as a void.
That's what I think would work the best. And like you said, the asymmetry of the framing inside also plays into that. So that's where, if it was a mix of that, even and timbers, I think it would work pretty nicely with the structure, both as you walk into it, because once you get through that facade, the timbers right there. That fact that could be a part of the opening with a glass, partition basically would be, not only have this feel still from the front, but would be not only an interesting but covered way to connect that also with, like you're saying, some kind of patio entry, ADA compliant kind of entry that could come out to the front here.
Ruba, anything else from you?
No, not really.
Jeff?
Well, when you're saying a glass entry on the front of that void, you're talking about a storefront entry, framed glass entry, because then you're going to have some sort of an automatic door for ADA.
No, I would see it more as a timber and glass structure more than a storefront, but.
But that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't look right with a storefront on it.
No.
All right. Okay, I think we could go on discussing possibilities, but it sounds to me personally that you are trying to contribute a creative an adaptation, let's call it. And if you did so, I think we'd all be very pleased with that and certainly be happy to review it as time goes on. You're not asking for any action by this board tonight, I gather.
No. It would be more just, right, is there anything that you'd be opposed to as a direction as they move forward with this? If it's creating spaces within this and the entry within that opening or possibly without it, we'll give options as to what we could do there as the interior of the building gets laid out. But that will also determine where a secondary exit door, some of that may happen, and we'll present that moving forward.
I think as far as you were asking about a glass window proposed for the rear, similar to what's on the front. It really would depend on where you end up putting that, call it a shed addition or some kind of exit way stair, and how that would work in regards to the facade. So it looks like it's a design project that is just beginning. So go to it. I think that what you got from us is probably all that we can give at the moment.
No, that's great.
Yeah, we appreciate your time tonight.
Okay, well, we appreciate your presentation and your interest in the village and trying to keep the sensitivity to that space. So if there's nothing else, then we would bid you good night.
Good night. And
there'll be a record of this, I guess, at the township. So you could probably go back and check that out if you're trying to remember what we said. and hopefully go forward.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
So, board members, that was pretty interesting. Things are moving along at other places in the village. There was nothing in our agenda of time to take a look at response to what we saw from the ad hoc committee, and I think that would take a while to actually digest anyway. So if we can add it to a later meeting for consideration for discussion, unless somebody wants to bring up anything now about that, because it's not on the agenda. So.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to. I actually didn't receive the package for tonight. I didn't. I looked, because Mike, you were the one who sent it out, according to Jim.
Yes, I did.
I can't find it. But
I'll be sure to make sure that you do get the next one. I apologize if I somehow didn't get it to you.
that's all right. I mean, just wanted to let you know.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have it up on the screen, and I guess that's also thanks to Erica helping us out get it there. Or was that something that the presenters brought in?
Actually, I think Eric successfully brought it in.
Well,
Jen, is your email J? No, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say this out in a meeting. I'll
It's
I'll
my
get your number.
It's my full name at my work my company.
AIA. Yeah, AIA at Verizon.net.
Nope, that doesn't
Oh.
exist anymore.
Well, that explains why you didn't get it.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
then.
I'm not losing my marbles. Great.
I'd say I'd lose mine, but I never had them. So
okay. Unless somebody else has something to add about the ad hoc report, can we think about putting that on as an agenda item to the next one or down the road?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Can I offer a comment not related to the harp?
Oh, I guess.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, We are aware of what's the current situation is in Ukraine.
Oh,
And I just wanted to ask for prayers for Ukraine and, for the courageous president and the people of Ukraine. That's
it's certainly a distressing element of the news these days, and I'm sure everybody feels as you do, and I'm sure there's plenty of prayers going that way too.
yeah. Thank you.
So there's been a motion to adjourn, I guess, made by Jennifer, if she got in under the wire.
I'll second that.
Okay, so all in favor? Thank you for your participation. Great to see you all tonight, and we'll hope for good stuff for next month. Good night.
Thank you.